The woman's voice cracked through the air like a whip, sharp, entitled, and dismissive. "This is my seat," she declared, brushing past the young boy as though his existence were an inconvenience. Her manicured hand clutched the backrest, nails glinting under the sterile cabin light. Passengers froze, watching in silence. The boy, no older than 16, looked up at her with wide, dark eyes that carried both confusion and quiet hurt. His ticket still clutched in his hand, trembling slightly, as if the printed ink could somehow defend his right to be there. A hush settled over the row. Some passengers turned away, pretending not to notice. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats, whispering behind raised hands. But no one spoke for him. The boy sat there, his chest rising and falling with controlled breaths, before finally standing, stepping aside without a word. She slid into the seat with a huff of self-satisfaction, crossing her legs, her perfume trailing like a banner of triumph. And yet, no one could shake the unease. It was written in the stiffness of their shoulders, in the way eyes lingered a moment too long before darting away. Something felt wrong, deeply wrong. The boy moved down the aisle slowly, as though each step weighed heavily upon him. He did not argue, did not protest. His silence was not born of weakness, but of something deeper, an understanding that the world too often demanded he swallow injustices to keep peace. He paused when he reached the back, his hand brushing the fabric of an empty seat near the galley. He sat, straight-backed, his ticket still firm in his grip. He wasn't just another passenger. His name was Elijah Carter, and though no one on this flight yet knew, he carried a lineage that stretched higher than the clouds outside the windows. His father owned the very airline that carried them all through the skies. But Elijah had never used that power as a shield. His father had raised him to walk with humility, to listen more than he spoke, and to remember that dignity was not given by others, it was carried within. That seat, the one the woman now claimed, was his by right. Yet he surrendered it, because he knew his worth was never measured by a row number or a window view. Still, the sting burned. He pressed his hand against his thigh, nails biting into skin, grounding himself against the rising tide of humiliation. He heard her laughter drift from the seat that should have been his, bright and careless, as though his pain were invisible. Elijah's backstory was not written in privilege alone. His mother had passed when he was just a child, her absence a hollow ache that no wealth could fill. His father, a man of relentless ambition, had built the airline from nothing, brick by brick. But despite boardrooms and empires, he never forgot to teach his son the weight of kindness and the responsibility of carrying a name. Elijah spent summers volunteering at shelters, winters delivering food to families his father's company supported, and every day remembering that respect had to be given freely, not demanded. Yet now, sitting in the back of the plane, he felt the familiar shadow of society's judgment. No title, no fortune, no last name could shield him from the prejudice that dripped from the woman's every gesture. Passengers exchanged glances but said nothing. An older man shifted as if to rise, then thought better of it. A flight attendant hesitated, eyes flickering between the boy and the woman before lowering her gaze, muttering something about seating regulations. Complicity hung heavy in the recycled air. Elijah remained calm, his gaze steady on the window where streaks of cloud blurred past. He did not move, did not demand. Silence was his armor. The woman ordered wine, snapping her fingers at the attendant. She spoke loudly about business deals and vacations, her words spilling into the aisle as though they mattered more than anyone else's. Occasionally, she glanced back toward Elijah with a smirk, as if daring him to challenge her. He never did. His stillness unnerved her more than anger ever could. But fate has its own rhythm, and justice often comes softly before it roars. Near the midpoint of the flight, turbulence shook the cabin. Passengers gasped, clutching armrests. The woman gripped her seat, eyes flashing with fear, her arrogance momentarily cracked. Elijah sat unmoved, his breathing calm, his demeanor steady. A flight attendant, rushing down the aisle, stumbled. Elijah's hand shot out, steadying her before she could fall. Their eyes met, gratitude flooding hers, and she whispered a quiet thank you. It was then the captain's voice filled the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to take a moment to thank our passengers for their patience. We are honored to have on board today Elijah Carter, son of our airline's founder and CEO. We thank the Carter family for their continued dedication to making this airline a place where respect and excellence are the standard. The silence that followed was deafening. Heads turned, eyes widened, and whispers rippled through the rows like fire through dry grass. Every gaze shifted toward the boy in the back, the one who had surrendered his seat without a word. The woman's face drained of color. Her wine glass trembled in her hand. She looked back, eyes locking on Elijah's, searching for some sign of forgiveness. But Elijah did not gloat. He did not smirk or relish in her humiliation. He simply inclined his head, as though her recognition mattered little to him. Passengers began to murmur louder now. Words of respect carried on the hum of the engines. That's him, the owner's son. And she took his seat. A wave of shame crept over the cabin, not just for the woman, but for every soul who had watched and done nothing. Elijah's silence spoke volumes. It was dignity carved from restraint, a quiet strength that echoed louder than any confrontation. The woman could bear it no longer. She stood abruptly, turning to the attendant. He should be here. He belongs here, not me. Her voice faltered, cracks of desperation breaking through. She reached for her bag, fumbling, eager to escape the burning stairs. But Elijah only raised a hand gently, stopping her. His words, when they finally came, were soft, steady, and unforgettable. A seat does not define respect. Character does. The cabin seemed to exhale. Passengers lowered their eyes, some nodding, some ashamed, all moved. The woman sank back into her chair, her pride shattered, her lesson etched into the silence around her. By the time the plane touched down, passengers waited in the aisle, not rushing for luggage, not pushing forward. Instead, they stepped aside, forming a path for Elijah. Some whispered apologies. Others simply placed a hand over their hearts. One man murmured, "You reminded us what true strength looks like." Elijah walked with quiet grace, his head held high, his father's teachings alive in every step. His silence had spoken for him, louder than indignation ever could. And as he descended from the plane, sunlight breaking across the tarmac, one truth lingered in the minds of all who had witnessed it. Respect is not earned by power, nor stolen by arrogance. It lives in the unshakable dignity of those who carry themselves with honor, even when the world tries to take their seat. This story is a reminder that true worth cannot be stripped away. Sometimes the greatest battles are fought not with words, but with silence. Wherever you are watching this from, remember to stand for dignity, to honor respect, and to never mistake silence for weakness. If this story moved you, share your thoughts and subscribe for more stories that shine light on the quiet heroes among us.